Welcome to the S&S Quality Lab. Our state-of-the-art equipment and experienced staff assure that all S&S products will perform to your exact standards the first time and every time. Mark is our mechanical engineer. He's placing an OEM countershaft on our Hoffler gear tester. This computer-operated testing machine allows us to determine the exact tolerance class of the gear according to standards established by the American Gear Manufacturers Association. The AGMA is recognized worldwide as the main standard for gears in the United States. Mark will now start the testing of the gear from the computer. The Hoffler utilizes a true 3D touch probe. Mark has already run the unknown gear program and is now running the automatic inspection mode. When the probe touches the tooth surface, it beeps and takes a measurement point. The computer shows the results of the profile and lead checks. It also shows index, spacing, pitch diameter runout, and measurement over pins. This information is critical for proper reverse engineering of the gear teeth. A hard copy is printed when the inspection is finished. Mark now places the shaft on our Starrett coordinate measuring machine. The coordinate measuring machine, or CMM, also uses touch probe technology and is computer driven. This machine is accurate to within 1/10,000th of an inch. All geometry of the part can be inspected here, such as diameters, lengths, and heights. It is now inspecting the OEM shaft dimensions in automatic mode. Right now we are checking the alignment of the main key slot to the center line of the two gears of the cluster. The alignment of the two gears was already inspected on the Hoffler. With this information we can accurately determine the exact alignment between the gears and the main key slot. The computer screen is showing the result. When the inspection is finished, Mark records the results on our S&S inspection forms. Mark now puts the OEM shaft onto our Starrett optical comparator. The optical comparator does not touch the part. It uses sight to measure. It is also computer driven. Even measuring by sight, it is accurate to within 1/10,000th of an inch. We can measure important features on the shaft, such as the form and size of the snap ring groove, in addition to their location. This machine gives us extra firepower in our quality arsenal. Mark is now placing the OEM shaft onto our Michitoyo Rockwell hardness tester. It is capable of testing in 30 different scales of Rockwell hardness. The screen shows the hardness result. He will check hardness in several places on the OEM shaft and record the results. Mark now checks the surface finish of the OEM shaft using our Michitoyo surface roughness tester. The OEM surfaces are inspected and the results are recorded. This is the last step in our reverse engineering inspection of the OEM shaft. When all the dimensions of the OEM shaft have been measured, all the results are entered into our computer-aided design software. All mating parts are reviewed and inspected as well. This assures that we will apply the proper tolerances to our drawing. A hard copy of the drawing is printed out and submitted to our vendors for quoting. Once we choose the vendor, we require a pre-production sample. This sample is inspected using the same procedure as the OEM. The Hoffler checks all the tooth dimensions. In addition, the tooth alignment of the two gears is checked and charted. These charts are compared to the OEM charts that were rendered from the initial inspection of the genuine shaft. Any variations are reported to the vendor. The sample is checked using the CMM. All results of the inspections are recorded on a customized S&S inspection form and compared to the drawing tolerances. If we find any deviations from the drawing, the sample will be rejected and a report will be sent. Dave is inspecting the snap ring groove and verifying location in the optical comparator. As with all other inspections, the results are recorded on customized S&S inspection forms. We also inspect the hardness of the sample. This is a critical dimension that must be held to ensure the shaft will perform as expected. If the hardness is not correct, the sample is rejected. Leo is our senior technician. He will check surface finish in several areas on the pre-production sample. All measurements will be recorded. If the sample is approved, the factory is allowed to start production. When the shipment arrives at our facility, it is received and moved to the quality holding area and will not be released to the general warehouse until a sample from the shipment has been fully inspected by the quality lab. Remember, when you see the NuStar logo on the outside of a box, you can rest assured that the part inside will perform as expected the first time and every time.